This is your opportunity to hear and meet the candidates who wish to represent our community locally. Each presenter will be permitted 3 minutes to present his or her platform or issue, except for the charter issue, and we have 2 members here who will talk. If you look at the sheet that was handed to you, the charter issue has 5 parts. And so in order to understand the 5 parts, the person speaking for and against each one will have the opportunity, have 5 minutes, so they have the opportunity to explain to you what the parts are and why they're for or against it. We have a timer. Where's my timer? It's over there. Who will let the speakers know when they have a minute. What cards did you make up, Aaron? Well, that's the whole thing. That's the entire, okay? 1 minute and 30 seconds. And you have the, okay. Right, okay. Okay, and the candidates will speak in alphabetical order, and the issues will speak in the numerical order. We don't have any question and answer time, but I actually typed up the sheet so that you can make comments on it and have questions ready, because after the forum, the individuals will come and walk among you and answer whatever questions you might have and give you the opportunity to get to meet them and know them a little better. Anyone have any questions? Okay, everybody's ready. So the first we're going to hear from will be our mayoral candidates. Most of you, if you've lived in Beavercreek all these years, remember when we had our first election as a city, and we did elect a mayor separately. This is only the 2nd time that the people in the city of Beavercreek will have the opportunity to vote for a separate mayor. And we have 2 candidates. And first we have Bob Stone.
All right. Good morning. All right. Good to be here. You know, it's always a pleasure to be here at the center. See all the familiar faces. The center and I have a long history. I go back to the original planning days of this facility. And today I volunteer as much as I can as a driver in the transportation system. And I'll tell you what, driving is a reward, but it's even a larger reward to see all the volunteers that work here in the center. So keep up the good work. You guys make this place what it is, so thank you. I also noticed on the way in that the parking lot is being worked on across the street. That's going to be relieve some of our overcrowding for parking. It's been my honor to serve as your mayor for the last few years. And it is my desire, along with my lovely wife sitting over here, Margaret, to continue serving you as our mayor. I learned about service early on as a soldier in Vietnam, where I was awarded the Bronze Star Medal. Ever since, I've always tried to make an effort to serve my community to the best of my ability. The Memorial Day tornado, some of you here today were affected by that tornado. And we've come a long way, but we still have a long way to go. It's very encouraging to drive around the affected area and see some of the new construction, the remodeling that's been going on, the businesses that are reopening. So while we still have a long way to go, the city will continue to work with Miami Valley Regional Planning and other organizations to make sure that we can help where some of the individuals might be falling through the cracks. To learn a little bit more about my past and my history, you can go to my webpage, which is electbobstone.com, or you can go to Facebook page, which is just the Stone Campaign. And that said, I just want to let you know that I'm asking for your vote today so that I can continue to work with all of you, with these new council members that we're going to have in place, to continue to make Beavercreek a better place to call home. Thank you very much.
Julie Van.
Hi, I'm Julie Van, and I'm here to tell you 3 important reasons that I want you to remember to vote for me. First, I would call to notice that I'm a committed public representative. I have served as your mayor twice, and I am an advocate for Beavercreek. I am an experienced leader. I laid the groundwork for my government leadership with my education. I have a master's degree in public administration, so I have studied government finance, personnel, labor negotiations, neighborhood preservation, and more. During my 35 years in Beavercreek, I have been chosen for leadership positions throughout the city and the region. Thirdly, I'm a person who gets things done. Before I decided to run, I critically analyzed the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. I made a list of my priorities, and I share them with you on the card that's at your table and at the desk outside. First, financial accountability. Our city budget needs written performance standards. This will provide a clear understanding defining the quality of the services to be provided by the city. 3 years ago, our city council budgeted $35,000 for a strategic plan, a task never completed. We need accountability. The budget needs performance standards, and our website needs to prevent quarterly summaries and charts so that you can understand what's going on with the finances of the city. Number 2, the infrastructure backlog. Our city is actually in a financial crisis. The capital improvements plan compiles a list of $200 million worth of backlog projects that are not funded, and we don't have any revenue source identified. We need to bring together, we have no strategy to catch up. Policy leaders must gather and develop a plan of action. The quality of our neighborhoods is at risk if we don't figure out the financial plan for the city. The tornado recovery. My professional career was helping neighborhoods. Yesterday, I represented Beavercreek in the region in a long-term recovery meeting. Navigating the complexities is challenging. It'll take 3, 5, or maybe 10 years. Council has directed the city manager to provide options, hiring a staff person to be a tornado recovery concierge or ombudsman. This person would keep up to date with the Dayton Foundation and 15 other organizations and bring this information to our community, to our residents as their advocate. I have earned your respect as a community leader who delivers quality governance. I offer my proven history, experience, and knowledge. Vote Van on November 5th.
The next office we're going to hear from will be City Council. There are 4 people running. There are 3 places to be elected. First will be Don Adams.
Good morning. My name is Don Adams, and I'm running for City Council. I've never held public office before, but I have been involved in Beavercreek for a long, long time. My wife and I moved here 45 years ago, and this Saturday we'll actually celebrate our 51st wedding anniversary. I have 3 children and 5 grandchildren who all grew up here in Beavercreek. I've been involved in Beavercreek since before we became a city. I was a member of the Beavercreek JCs back in the late 70s and early 80s, and actually went door to door asking people to sign petitions to get the ballot on the ballot to Beavercreek become a city. In fact, since moving to Beavercreek, I've volunteered over 15,000 hours in different organizations. I've spent the last 12 years in those organizations. Most of them are on the back of the cards at your table. For the past 12 years, I've volunteered with the Beavercreek Police Department COPP program and continue to work with that organization. I've served as the president of the Citizens Police Academy Alumni Group since 2005, and my candidacy has been endorsed by the Beavercreek Fraternal Order of Police Lodge number 160. I volunteered outside of Beavercreek as well. During most of that time, 30 years to be exact, I was a sales manager and national vice president of sales, traveling during the week virtually all over the United States and abroad. I currently serve as a special events coordinator for the Wright B. Flyer Museum and serve on the board as a board member of Wright B. Flyer and NAHA, which is the National Aviation Heritage Alliance. I was reading something recently that was written by John Gardner, who's a scholar, cabinet member, and founder of Common Cause. He said, and I quote, I keep running into highly capable leaders all over the country who literally never give a thought to the well-being of their community. And I keep wondering who gave them permission to stand aside. He went on to say, I'm asking you to issue a wake-up call to these people, a bugle call right in the ear. This nation could die of comfortable indifference to the problems that only citizens can solve. The influential citizen, whether they're farmer, banker, labor leader, or professor, cannot evade their responsibility. After the recent tornado and all the devastation it caused, I worked with the police department in the affected areas and was impressed by the way the citizens of Beavercreek came together. I also spoke to several electrical repair groups that do that for a living and said they'd never seen a community come together like the citizens of Beavercreek did. It made me proud to be a part of this community. I also knew that it was time for me to step up and take additional responsibility. I've decided to run for the position of Beavercreek City Council because I do not want to stand aside and just let things happen. I want to be a part of the process. There's a great spirit here in Beavercreek. We have a lot of things to be thankful for in our community. The employees of the city of Beavercreek work very hard to keep this city going and keep it a comfortable place to live. For me, it's time to step up, take on the responsibility. I would appreciate your vote on November 5th.
Pete Bales.
Good morning. My name is Pete Bales, and I'm excited to be running for Beavercreek City Council. I'm a proud lifelong resident of Beavercreek and have been married to my wife Amanda for 15 years. We have 2 kids, Jack, who's 13, and my daughter Kara is 9. They both attend Beavercreek schools. I've got a lot of family in Beavercreek, including my 94-year-old grandmother, Joy Bossman, who's with us today. I'm happy you're here, Graham. For the past 24 years, I've immersed myself in local government. In fact, I started my career right here in Beavercreek, working in the Parks and Recreation Department. I managed recreation programs, cultural art activities, and even the senior center operations. Throughout my career, I've made many decisions, but one decision I'm very proud of is to have hired your senior center director, Lee Dutiel, and I understand he's sick today, but I'm very proud of what he's done with this center, and I wish him well in his upcoming retirement. From Beavercreek, I moved on to become the Director of Parks and Recreation in Fairborn, then the Public Works Director, and finally the Assistant City Manager. I completely understand what it takes to successfully operate our government. Throughout my career, though, I've remained active in the Beavercreek community. I'm a member of the Beavercreek Wetlands and the BW Greenway Community Land Trust. I've served on the Parks and Recreation Master Planning Committee, as well as the Beavercreek Golf Club Advisory Board. I've served my Homeowners Association Board and have been an advisor to Owens Place since its inception. And I'm a member and past president of the Rotary Club and have dedicated my adult life to making a positive impact in Beavercreek. I'm a credentialed city manager through the International City Managers Association, and I'm a certified Parks and Recreation professional. These credentials are very important to me. They have certified that I have the experience and live by a code of ethics required to manage a government at its highest level. While I have no intentions of running the day-to-day operations of the city, I believe as a councilman, I can provide professional insight into issues and legislation like no other candidate. I really want to keep Beavercreek affordable while preserving our property values. To accomplish this, I think it's critical that council seek alternate funding opportunities and revenue sources to alleviate the burden on property taxes that affect so many of our residents. I will work hard to find creative and innovative ways to reduce our property tax while maintaining high-quality services that we all enjoy as Beavercreek residents. I will ensure that all perspectives on issues are listened to and evaluated fairly. I will be your representative. It will be my pleasure to be your city council person, and I look forward to talking to you afterwards to share more about me and answer any of your questions. Thank you for educating yourself about the candidates today and the issues that shape our community.
Charles Chuck Curran.
Thank you, Carol. It's really a pleasure to come before this body. I'm a member of the senior citizens community here and really enjoy the days that I come over here and exercise and shoot the bull with a lot of the people in the back room. And also I want to congratulate, add my to echo Pete's comments concerning Lee, 18 years of service to Beavercreek, and going to have a big party here, October 25th, 1 to 3. Are you going to be here? I think so. It'll be an exciting day. Charles Curran, I'm joined here today by my wife of 56 years, Mara, in the front row. I think I beat everybody else, maybe a couple of years, I'm not sure. I'm a proud husband, lifelong educator, and public servant. And most importantly, I'm proud to be a Beavercreek City Council member, and I'm seeking your support for my re-election to council. As you know, these are interesting times in Beavercreek and our community at large. We've seen the power and the devastation of Mother Nature with the Memorial Day tornado, as well as the tragedies that we witnessed in the Oregon District. These are challenging times for our community, but with each challenge comes an opportunity to improve the quality of life in the city of Beavercreek. I feel we need a good voice on City Council, and my background gives me a unique set of skills and experiences to serve as an effective City Council member. I've been an educator at Sinclair College for over 40 years, teaching state and local government. I've served in a wide array of public offices over 35 years. I served as a council member on the Dayton City Council for 9 years. I was a county commissioner for almost 25 years in Montgomery County and a state senator for the 6th Senatorial District. I've taken each opportunity as a challenge. How I can serve you and better our community is always central in my purpose. As your Beavercreek Council member, I'll continue to advocate for fiscal responsibility, essential public services that make our community great, such as police and parks and recreation, the infrastructure. All of these are challenges that we on the City Council will face in the months and years ahead. Aging infrastructure, roads, bridges, and stormwater management, to name a few. One of the things I wanted to point out to people this morning was we have over 400 acres of land that is presently part of the research park. And one of our challenges will be to make sure that that particular pieces of land are developed, taking some of the burden off of individuals' property taxes that they presently pay. So I'm up for the challenge, and I ask for your continued support so I can continue to serve you as a Beavercreek City Council member. And remember, believe in Beavercreek. Curran does. Thank you.
Glenn Doerr.
New energy, new ideas, and new thinking. My name is Glenn Doerr, and I'm running for City Council to bring those attributes to the city. Now, I'm not a radical. I'm not here to rock the boat. But what I am here to do is to listen and to bring those things to you. The city of Beavercreek and I, we share a birthday. We were both born in 1980, and next year, in 2020, we turned 40. We're getting up there in age. And it leads us to a situation, a crossroads. What kind of city do we want to be moving forward? I'm a professor at Cedarville University. I have the privilege of teaching political science and international relations. My PhD is from Kent State University, and I'm the author of 2 books. I have a lot of qualifications for City Council. Most importantly, I'm married to my wife, Rebecca, and we've been married for 10 years. We have 3 children. Our first just entered elementary school, and our twin daughters, they're heading there in 2 years. It's one of the big reasons why I'm running for City Council, to protect our schools and our emergency services. Now, there's no magic wand, and I don't like the idea of a blank check. But what I want to do is be able to sit over those things and to be able to make sound decisions so that the schools remain solid and so that the police force remains strong, listening to the chief of police. I want to remain a city that is proactive rather than reactive. My second platform is to encourage business relations to develop the aforementioned research park, and to inject new ideas. I mean, how are we going to bring these new businesses to Beavercreek? There's no magic wand, and government does not make jobs. And so it's the conditions. And so I advocate a new marketing plan, a STEM-C plan that is surrounding science, technology, engineering, math, and computer science. Our elementary students are already taking robotics classes. We have amazing quiz bowl and history bowl teams. That should be front and center as advertised. I'm the vice chair of the Board of Zoning Appeals, and we need a solid and stable zoning code. Finally, I want to be a very local candidate. I'm a half marathon runner. I will run to your neighborhood. I will be there. I will check things out on the ground, even at 7 a.m., even in the darkness of winter. I want to make sure that things are stable for business and that you, our citizens, are safe. I want to make sure of those things. I have a website, it's glenndewar.com. I have a Facebook page, Glenn Dewar for Beavercreek City Council. I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram. Please check me out on all of those things. And most of all, please vote for me, Glenn Dewar, on November the 5th. Thank you very much.
The next office we will hear from is Beavercreek Township Trustee. But I'm going to give you a lead-in. All of us who live in the city or the township get to vote for Beavercreek Township trustees. The city is in the township. We vote, I live in the city too, we vote for the township trustee, the township fiscal officer, and the fire levy is for the fire district, and the city's in the fire district. So be sure that you go through all those issues. If you live in the city, you vote for those township pieces on this election. We also have a differences election. Because of a quirk in the law, we do not have a candidate whose name will be on the ballot for Beavercreek Township trustee. There was no certified petition by the Board of Elections. But we do have we have two people who were certified for write-ins. When you get to the ballot for trustee, you see no names. There'll be a little place where you can push, I think so, because I haven't seen the machine yet. Write in, you push the write-in button, and then you write in the name, or type in the name, of the person that you would like to be your next township trustee. And with that, I've only heard from one individual. Tom Kress will be speaking as township trustee.
Thank you, Carol. Good morning. My name is Tom Kretz, and I am your certified write-in candidate for Beavercreek Township trustee. My wife, Kim, and I have been married 30 years. We've lived in Beavercreek for 26 of those years, where we have two sons that are both BHS grads. Joel, our oldest, now works in investment banking and is finishing his MBA. Eric is a second lieutenant in the U.S. Air Force and a third-year med school student studying to be an Air Force surgeon. I'm a member of the Miami Valley Military Affairs Association, the township delegate to the Greene County and Miami Valley Regional Planning Commission, member of our Chamber of Commerce, Board of Realtors, and other trade associations, member of Greene County and Ohio Township Association, and I chair the township's Investment Oversight Committee. I've also volunteered with youth sports, service organizations. I've been a mentor and a subject matter expert with SCORE. I've served on Beavercreek Parks Recreation and Culture Board, the Impact Fee Appeals Board, and the Schools Ambassador Committee. In my 25-year professional life, I've hired, trained, and managed over 1,200 employees. I've managed over 100 multi-million-dollar projects, and I've negotiated, written, and signed literally thousands of contracts and service agreements. I'm a proven business owner. My wife and I have built several successful companies, doing business both here locally and internationally. As your trustee for the past 5 years, I take my responsibilities very seriously. I'm known as no nonsense, all business, and I don't play games when it comes to taxpayer dollars or doing the right thing, even when it's not popular. I'm also known for my attention to detail and strong moral compass. As your trustee, I incorporated the Pledge of Allegiance at trustee meetings and posting our meeting videos online on YouTube. I eliminated deficit spending in the general fund by cutting $800,000 in spending, discovered and fixed a $100,000 payroll mistake by our fiscal office, represented the township and taxpayers at the Ohio Supreme Court and in Greene County court cases, increased the interest income the township earns from $31,000 in 4 years to over $682,000 since I've been elected, increased funding for sheriff services to fight the heroin trafficking and overdose problem in Beavercreek Township, and reduce the township healthcare costs a projected $1.6 million in annual savings. I'm committed to keeping Beavercreek safe and affordable and using my skills and experience to ensure that our fire department, our sheriff deputies, our senior center, our library, our cemetery, and our roads departments are well managed, operated efficiently, properly funded, and serve the needs of our taxpayers. I'm running as your write-in candidate to provide continuity for the next 4 years and to preserve and build upon everything that we've accomplished at the township during my 5 years as your trustee. Your vote matters, spelling matters. My name is Tom Kretz, and I'm your write-in candidate. I appreciate your vote on November 5th. Thank you very much.
There is only one individual running for the fiscal officer, and he couldn't be here, so he gave me something to read to you because he did want to be here, and he did want you to, he didn't want you to think he didn't care. Good morning and thank you to the Senior Center for hosting this forum. My apologies for not being able to attend in person. I am currently attending a mandatory state fiscal officers training sponsored by the Ohio Auditor of State. My name is Ryan Rushing, and I am seeking your support in my election for Beavercreek Township Fiscal Officer. I am running to bring my real-world experience as a finance director and a common-sense approach to problem solving to the Township Fiscal Office. I'm a two-time graduate of Rice State University, where I obtained my bachelor's with honors and master's in public administration. I have served on several community boards, including the Beavercreek High School Alumni Association, the Rice State University Board of Trustees, the Beavercreek Board of Zoning Appeals, and I currently have the honor of serving you as a member of Beavercreek City Council. Professionally, I am a finance director for the Village of Carlisle. As finance director, I manage and oversee the budget, all depositories and investments, payroll accounts, receivable, and payroll and income tax collection. Not only can I speak to what I will do, but what I have done. As a finance director, I've drafted budgets that were balanced and put funds back into reserves. I updated the investment policy that had not been updated since 1996, and I drafted a fund reserve policy that restricts funds for only in times of an emergency. As a finance director, I am honored to have received the Auditor of State Award for Excellence in Finance Report for the fiscal year 2018. My vision for Township Fiscal Office is to bring a culture of collaboration and empowerment to the township and to implement proven practices found both in private sector and public sector. This includes ensuring that all interim funds are fully invested to maximize every tax dollar, introduce new technology to increase efficiency and effectiveness, work to guarantee that all financial records are properly maintained and secure from cyber attack and loss, and ensure that generally accepted accounting principles are implemented and followed to eliminate audit findings. I also believe in continual improvement in education. I am a member in good standing both of the Government Finance Association, the Ohio Public Treasurers Association. I am certified by the Ohio Township State Center for Public Investment Management and by the Ohio Auditor of State for Public Records Management. In closing, I view the role of a Township Fiscal Officer not as a political one, but as a professional one. By empowering Township staff and giving them the resources and tools necessary to do the job, coupled by a culture of collaboration and best practices, Beavercreek Township will continue to grow and prosper. With my education and experience, I know I can take the fiscal office to new heights. For more information, please visit voterushing.com. Thank you. Okay. The next office we have is the Beavercreek Board of Education. There are 3 individuals running, 2 to be elected. Peg Arnold.
Hi, I'm Peg Arnold, and I'm running for Beavercreek School Board. Again, I am now completing my 16th year of service as a board member. Kids are my thing. I'm proud to be a court-appointed special advocate for Greene County's children for the last 3 years. I have 2 daughters. They gifted me with 9 grandchildren, including 2 sets of twins. The twins are now adding to the population explosion in our family, and one of them looks like they're about to have another set of twins. So we don't go anywhere that is quiet. My career has been as a civil servant in the employ of the Army, Air Force, Department of Energy, EPA, and then back home to the Air Force. I got caught up in the women's movement in its infancy. The Me Too thing that's happening now has a long history. The Defense Department lost a lawsuit and had to give women opportunities to advance. As a result, I qualified for progression jobs, but it didn't seem to work out as it was claimed. So I decided to take a stand and called the House Armed Services Committee. In a short while, I was appointed to a committee working with them. As a result, many career fields opened up to women. I still get thank you notes from people now and then. And when I retired, I was a GS-15. So shortly after, I returned for 5 more years when asked to join a great program with Booz Allen Hamilton as my employer. That was my best job ever, a presidential interest program to buy an entire new fleet of fighter jets for the Saudis. And it had a B on the end of what it was worth, a good B, billions. I joined the school board in 2000, oh my goodness, in 2002, along with Rich Eckhart and Charlie Rowland. We had a month's worth of salary money in the bank when we started, and it was quite the wake-up call. No panic, we made it through. The district doesn't borrow money anymore. What a bad idea. I tell you all this because I want you to know who I am. I have very gray hair, but I have lots of energy left to work with Beavercreek's children so they get the best education possible. And I do give a lot of attention to the needs of our older folks like me that are living on fixed incomes trying to enjoy their golden years. I'm stubborn as a mule, and sometimes that helps the district a lot. I have been able to get quite a few donations that were significant and saved you all tax money. Thank you very much.
Chris Stein.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Chris Stein, and I'm a new face for most of you here this morning. Let me share a little bit about myself. Originally from Texas, I earned a Master of Education degree in Curriculum and Instruction from Texas A&M University. In Texas, I was a middle and high school teacher, an instructional specialist at technology, and I was even an education specialist at NASA's Johnson Space Center. Although it was a sin to leave Texas, I was swept away by the Department of Defense education activity, which employed me as an instructional systems specialist at Fort Knox, Fort Campbell, Quantico, and Arlington, Virginia. Yearning to establish roots and start a family, I was privileged to find my way to Beavercreek, my hopeful forever home, where I currently work for Wright State University as a data analyst, meaning that unlike my stint with the DoD, I'm now not going anywhere. Since being in Beavercreek, I've gotten my feet wet in municipal government as a member of the Beavercreek City Charter Review Commission, and on many weekends you can find me at Ohio River Roadrunners Club races, where I volunteer as a race timer and otherwise volunteering however I'm needed. I value the importance of education, and I am a lifelong learner. One of the perks of working at a university is the ability to enroll in courses. This fall, I'm enrolled in a school finance class because I am dedicated to learning as much as humanly possible to ensure the financial viability of Beavercreek schools. My entire professional career has been spent in public service, and I have a calling for civic duty. Now that I have established roots, I'm excited to throw my hat into the ring for your consideration as a school board member. With my experience in education and my data analyst skills, I'd be a great asset as a board member. I make data-driven decisions in every job I have held, and I would continue to do so as a board member. Understanding the issues brought to the board for their consent and advice involves digesting a wealth of information presented to the board. Synthesizing data is my strong suit, and asking questions to completely understand the issue at hand is vital for this position. I'm not seeking this position for my own personal reasons. I am seeking your support because I can bring a fresh perspective to the board. As a new face, I am not hindered by being the voice for specific groups in the community, but rather a voice for all stakeholders. I am running to serve as a conduit between the community and the schools of transparency and accountability. If you're looking for a candidate who is approachable and ready to listen, vote for Chris Stein. If you're looking for new blood, vote for Chris Stein. If you're looking for someone passionate about education, vote for Chris Stein. I'd like to thank the Beavercreek Senior Center for hosting this forum for you to get to know the candidates, and I invite you to learn more about me by visiting steinforschools.com. Thank you for coming out to be informed voters, and I hope I can count on your support.
Jean Taylor.
Welcome. I'm Gene Taylor, and I'm an incumbent candidate for the Beavercreek Board of Education. My connection to Beavercreek runs deep, having moved here during the blizzard of '78. I could barely find the house I wanted to move into. I'm a building contractor of 35 years and a retired Beavercreek teacher of 35 years as well. As a member of the Board of Education, my colleagues chose me to represent them on the Greene County Career Center Board. I also serve as past president of the Beavercreek Kiwanis, a group that's dedicated to improving the lives of children in our community. Over the last 4 years, I've been an effective board member. We've implemented protocols for building trust through accountability and integrity. By getting community input into important decisions like hiring a new superintendent, developing a facilities master plan, and putting our district checkbook online for all to see. These are just the beginning of fulfilling the promises that I made 4 years ago. Though not perfect, the building blocks of a great future are in place. The challenge now is to provide a workable blueprint to move forward from this point. We cannot rest on our laurels. My experience in business has taught me to be forward-thinking. New perspective is essential for growth. I plan to use my skills of organization, design, follow-through, and an unstoppable work ethic to help move this excellent school system forward to a more richly developed, value-added future. My corporation, Gene Taylor Builders Incorporated, has been a Beavercreek fixture since 1984, and we're currently involved in rebuilding effort caused by the Memorial Day tornado. My experience as an educator has given me a window into the inner workings of the school system, and my current position as a school board has provided me with insight into the interaction of schools and the community. In closing, I want what we all want. We want the highest quality education for our children. We want our schools to prepare our students to meet their full potential and become productive citizens. This makes our community strong and attracts community members of like mind and keeps our property values high. It makes Beavercreek one of the most desired communities in the area in which to live. After all, this is the reason most of us moved to Beavercreek in the first place. Please vote for me on November 5th, and I will continue serving the Beavercreek community through the Board of Education in a humble and effective manner. If you would like to know more, www.reelectgenetaylor.com. Thank you.
There's one more person that we will see on the ballot, and it's the Fairborn Municipal Court Judge, Beth Capelli. We in the city and township of Beavercreek are part of the Fairborn Municipal Court. So yes, even though it says Fairborn Municipal Court, we do get to vote on that office. Beth couldn't be with us this morning. She had to be in court. Those of us who live in the city will have 3 issues on the ballot. If you live in the unincorporated area, you will only have 2. The unincorporated area will have issue 6 and issue 9. In addition, the city will have issue 14. And so the first issue that we will have before us is issue 6, the Beavercreek Township Fire Levy, and Chief Vanden Bosch will speak for it.
Good morning, Senior Center. Thank you very much for hosting this event so we can come and provide you some information on these important issues that we have before you. It's my honor to report that this is the first time in 10 years that the fire department has had to come to you and ask for an additional funding. 10 years ago, the Board of Township Trustees approved a long-term funding plan. And in 2009, that funding plan was supported by the community through the consolidation of 2 existing levies, which were replaced, and that value was sufficient with the planning to provide these 10 years of service. Part of the commitment that was made in 2009 that we honored and we're very, very proud of is we allowed a 5-year, 2 mil levy that at the time represented about 30% of our funding to drop off the ballot in 2013. So you know how rare it is for a local government to allow funding to drop off the ballot. We did so with forethought and planning, and it was a commitment that we honored to you. So we're very proud of that. However, 10 years later, we're at a position that we anticipated, and that is we do need additional funding. And that additional funding is going for a number of important opportunities for the fire department. The first is to maintain the level of service to which the community has become accustomed. As a growing community, you can imagine that our call for service load is increasing as well. We see about a 3% or so increase in calls annually. This year is a little different. This year we're about 12% up from last year, mostly due to our event earlier this spring. So we do anticipate finishing out the year about 12% over prior years. And that additional call for service does mean that we need additional resources, we need additional operating supplies and things like that. Second, we need to staff to make sure that we have the firefighters and paramedics that are necessary to provide that level of service for you. And part of that includes maintaining 9 positions that were funded with the nearly $2 million grant that we received from the federal government to supply 9 firefighters for 3 years. This funding does make those positions permanent and allows us to move forward. Those 9 firefighters will help staff 2 new fire stations that we've identified the need for. First to be located, Station 65 at Fairgrounds in Trebine, land purchased by Bud Crawford back in the late 70s. And then the second station, 66, to be at the Greene County Airport. I have additional information on our levy website and out front. Our levy website is beavercreekfire.org/levy. And I do have materials, and I'll be happy to answer any questions after the event. So thank you very much for your time this morning. Have a great day.
Issue 9, Greene County Park District. Ms. Stinson.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Tobiah, so I know it's a little different. Tobiah Stinson. So I was appointed commissioner for Greene County Parks and Trails this past May, so I'm very new in the position. But we do have a renewal levy on the ballot this year. It is a renewal, so there'll be no tax increases that'll be before you. I don't know if I put the flyer out on your table, and it shows a lot of what we have been able to do since we passed the last levy. There are tons and tons and tons of improvements throughout the entire county. We have thousands and thousands of acres and miles of trails for you in this county. And there is another I didn't pass this one out, but there is some outside that list all the parks and everything that's there for you. Out of the 27 parks, 15 of them are handicap accessible. So they are definitely taking into consideration to make sure that these parks can be enjoyed by everyone and not just those that are fit running on the trails or biking on the trails or those. We also have been doing a lot of new programs this year. They had reached out after the last levy to find out what the community in Greene County wanted. So they started a Wiggle Worms program, which is for preschoolers. So parents can take the preschoolers. They have a bubble machine that they made that they use for that. We also work with the cities and the villages for improvements along the bike path. So recently in Beavercreek, I do know that we helped with a grant that put more covered park benches as well as a repair bike station for you there. There is also lots of camps that the kids can go to, and we partnership with locations for events. So there's a lot of event buildings now that are available. We've been doing a lot of work with Russ Park, which unfortunately we know sustained a substantial amount of damage with the tornado that came through. We have had to remove 900 trees from that park. So it is very sad, but there is a plan to get it back to where it was someday. So we are working with the insurance and all of the other things. So once again, we just want to make sure that you know this is not an increase in your taxes. This is simply a renewal levy for you. And I think that's it. Oh, and I don't work for the parks. So I have to make that clear. So I don't work for the parks. I actually have another job. This is just my appointed unpaid job. So just to make that clear. So please support us in the levy.
We will now hear about issue 14. The individual speaking for it is Brian Jarvis.
Okay, thank you very much. As Carol mentioned earlier, this won't be on the township ballot. It'll only be on the city residents ballot. And they're listed on the back side of your agenda. And I will start with the first one, section 4.02. With the charter amendment a few years ago allowing direct election of mayor, what we didn't consider was that a person on city council who is on an off year from the mayoral election might choose to run midterm. We didn't consider that, and 5 minutes, right? Okay, and that posed a problem. A person who is on city council as council member, if they run midterm for a 4-year term, they wouldn't be able to fulfill their full 8 years that typically on city council that you get. Again, it would cause a problem both legally because they wouldn't be allowed to run. They would hit perhaps 6 years and then not be able to run again, or they would be in their 6th year on city council trying to run for a 4-year mayor's term and trying to serve 10 years, and that wouldn't work. We'd have to kick them out of office. And either choice would leave a legal quagmire for the city. And so after discussing a number of options, what we proposed was to change the language to clarify, to allow a council member in the middle of their 2nd consecutive term to run for a full term of mayor, not to exceed a total of 10 years. We thought about this a lot. This revision was consistent with the voters voted on last year for a council member who was appointed to city council, that they could be appointed to city council and those up to 2 years wouldn't count towards their 8-year term limit for a total of 10 years. So based upon what the residents were willing to vote for last November, as a result, as it applied to appointments to city council, we use that same kind of logic here. It would be a shame for someone who was in office on an off year for the mayors not be able to run for a full 8-year term. So we had that changed. The city council accepted that, and we went on. Section 5.03. What we find now with the number of applications coming to city council, we are no longer very efficient, and it's been expressed that city council's approval process takes too much time. There is a way to shave 2 or 3 weeks off of that process by reducing the number of meetings from 3 to 2 meetings while still permitting residents to speak at the meetings. The recommended change was for the public hearing to take place with the first reading while ensuring the public has opportunity to speak at that first hearing, and adoption taking place with the second hearing with an opportunity to speak if requested, and then with language added that would allow council to have a third reading if it was a complicated issue that needed a third reading. So the mandatory 3 readings would fall to 2, but if it was determined 3 is necessary, then a third one would be added, and that would maintain the public's ability to speak at those meetings. Section 601, the main reason for doing that was we had in our charter that the city manager had to be a city resident, and the Supreme Court has said that's illegal. You can't require that in the charter, but we can have it as part of our contractual agreement with the city manager. So we agreed to take it out of the charter and just have it a separate contractual agreement. In addition, we made changes here that in order to elect or appoint a city manager, it would take 5, a supermajority of council, and not just 4. By the same token, in section 6.03, in order to remove a city manager, the changes were made that it would require 5 votes, a supermajority of city council, and not simply the 4-member majority to remove one. So appointing one and removing one takes 5 votes now and not simply 4. Another item came up. Council has had challenges filling all of the vacancies on boards and commissions. They've tried a number of options. It has not worked out very well. And so what we looked into was the ability for a person serving on a board or commission to serve on multiple boards or commissions, just that's what they want to do. And so we made the changes to section 9.02, presented to City Council, and to fill those vacancies. And what remains is that a member of a board or commission, again, the wording in the language is kind of crazy, but the intent was for the person to be able to serve on multiple boards, as well as for an employee, if they have specialized experience and council okays it, to serve on a board also. And so those changes were made. There were 3 changes that we did not incorporate. One was you typically don't want an employee to accept gifts, and the desire not to modify it to put in an income tax. We didn't want to do that right now either. So appreciate it.
Speaking in opposition to issue 14 is Harold Lewis.
The first one is the term limits. They briefed the city council, and the intent here was to clarify term limits. They're not clarifying term limits. Let's get that clear. They're modifying our term limits in the city. I've sat on 2 charter review commissions. The last one I sat on, we discussed the direct election of the mayor. It's not the one that went on the ballot, but the one before that. This was the issue. How do we handle this without modifying term limits? We felt like we needed to modify term limits totally and not be selective in nature on it. So we didn't go forward with it. So this is not a new idea, contrary to what's been said. It's not a new idea. This has been discussed 6 years ago, 4 years ago. The thing about the ordinances. Right now, the process is they advertise, they have the first reading. The first reading is where we go in, we get to hear staff reports, we get to hear developers talk, council talk, and then goes to the second reading. But that's very important to the public. It's that first reading, the time between the first and second, that we get educated on what the issue is. They want to eliminate that step. It will be totally gone. I put in the same context as I go into my college classroom, professor says, we're going to have an exam in 2 weeks, chapter 5 to 10. I go to my next class, pop quiz. I haven't had time to prepare. This is going to eliminate our ability to prepare to participate in these meetings. And it's all underneath the guise of being more business friendly. So it's development. Let's talk about it. Here's the process. This is the Planning Commission. This is staff work and everything else. Now it gets over here to the council. 4 weeks to approval. They want to cut out 2 weeks of that process. They want to cut the public out of that process, and it's totally wrong. The thing about the city manager It all boils down to, if we fire him or let him go, we might have to pay legal costs and buy out his contract. I hope with 4 votes, our council is aware that we might have to be buying out this man's contract. It doesn't make any difference if 5-2 or 4-3. And then the one about the commission. The way the charter will be revised is as follows. Members of a board or commission of the city shall not hold any other elected office in the city or be an employee thereof. These are the new words, unless otherwise designated by council. I've been on boards, I've been on commissions. To have an employee on there, to me, is totally wrong. He's sitting there trying to do what the city wants, and we're trying to do maybe something totally different. And now the way it reads, an employee can be on it, even a member of city council can appoint themselves to be on the board. That's the way it reads. It might not be the intent, but that's the way it reads. In closing, first of all, when you go in to vote, you're voting for all 5 of them. It's either all or none. It's that simple, all or none. And the Charter Review Commission, this Charter Review Commission, these 5 ideas did not originate a Charter Review Commission. They originated by the city attorney, who was probably being cued by somebody else. The minutes of the very first meeting will prove that out. It says, Mr. McHugh, the city attorney, reviewed the following sections of the city charter that needed to be addressed. What's on the ballot are those 5. They came at the first meeting from probably council, and we need to find out where they came from, because that's wrong. This was not a truly independent Charter Review Commission from day one. Thank you.
Just want to clarify one thing, because as you saw with what's on here, the 5 members of council, the mayor is a member of council. Even though separately elected at this point, they are a member of council with the same voting rights and obligations of the council member. They're not away from it. So that's why the 5 would give a supermajority, because if it's just 6, well, then it might be split. It should be a lively election, or I hope it will be. We will have some new voting machines. I was told they're going to be easier than the other ones. I've not seen them yet. I hope you've enjoyed this morning and take the opportunity to meet and talk with the council people and the issue people and find out all the answers to the questions that you have. Thank you.